Okay. I think we should be good now.
All right. So if we are good, I think we're coming back just in time as the leaders, Wouter and Ryan Malta, are just completing their formation lap. Quick summary here from what I can see: everybody opting to put on the soft tires, other than old school AJ Wuhan and Jamian, who opted for the mediums. So a relatively straightforward strategy call. But as the drivers have lined up, we're just about set for the 5 red lights and the start of 27 laps here around the Sochi Autodrome for the Russian Grand Prix. Here we go, up to 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off quickly, and we are racing here in Russia, as it's looking to be a good start from most of the drivers here as they're heading down towards turn 1 and turn 2. Relatively clean through turn 1 as they're battling for position. Ryan Malta already making a charge here to go down the outside of Wouter, but Wouter is able to make that turn, defending the line very well. That was a Williams going very deep and having to take that runoff area. Meanwhile, Passassin working his way up the grid, getting ahead of Nathan JB as they're going side by side here through the corner. Right behind them, XL Tin Can and Mark side by side through that exact same corner as they're still trying to get themselves sorted out. But it looks like Mark does just barely get ahead of Skilla now to get up into P8. Meanwhile, Carmentalus, Feral Fury a little bit further down the grid, exchanging positions as they're having a little battle of their own on track. But back to the leaders. Wouter is still leading, Ryan Malta in second, but Jer is starting to put a little bit of pressure on Ryan Malta now as they head down the back